Hello folks, welcome back to the Python Foundations module here at Learn with Service. So in this session, we'll write a fast Python program and learn something essential, some essential building blocks like syntax, variables, and comments, the real foundation of any code. Now we don't need to memorize anything. It's just the logic and try it, hands-on as we go. We'll start with the Python basics, data types, structures in the Jupyter Notebook. Now in the previous session, we have just opened the Jupyter Notebook, right? So once the Jupyter Notebook is open, you're going to click on New and Python. This will open the Jupyter Notebook. Or as another workaround, if you want to open a Jupyter Notebook in a specific file or a folder, how should you do it? Windows key, just type in Anaconda prompt. So you'll have this Anaconda prompt. Just click on this Anaconda prompt. CD space the folder path. Enter. Right. So again, it will come back to C colon. Just give D colon. It will just swap to D colon, and you just type in Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter, Jupyter, right? So Jupyter Notebook. And you just type enter. So this will open the Jupyter Notebook in a web browser. This is running in a local host, right? So this is running in a local host here. It's running within your system, which makes use of your web browser to run it. So how should you open a new file here? Click on New, Python 3. Now a new notebook, a Jupyter Notebook will be opened up here. This is what an integrated development environment. Jupyter Notebook is an integrated development environment. So what is an IDE or integrated development environment? Right? So it's a software tool that combines everything you need to write, run, and debug your code all in a single place. What are some key components of an integrated development environment? You have a code editor. You have a compiler or an interpreter. You have a debugger. You have a terminal or a console, and you have a file explorer, right? So there are various examples. So you can use in VS Code, PyCharm, Jupyter Notebook, right? So why we have picked up in Jupyter Notebook, this is perfect for data science, teaching, and also for various different experimentations, right? Now we have seen how to open a Jupyter Notebook. Now we should understand what is a cell and what are the different components or the two types of cell that we have. Now you can see there is a blue color border in the left hand side. The moment I click inside the cell, it becomes as a green color border, right? And the cursor is within the cell, right? So whenever the cursor is within the cell and we have it as a green color border, this is a code cell. This executes your code. Like we have seen, Python is an interpreted language, right? So unlike the C, C++, you don't have to run the entire code. Rather, you can run a specific block of a code, right? So you can put print hello world. There is no variable declaration. There is nothing. I've just typed in hello world, and you can see that the hello world has been printed, right? So the moment it is in the blue color border, this is in the markdown cell. This is in command mode. This is in command mode. So how will you toggle between the code mode and then command mode? You just type it inside or on outside. The moment you click the cursor inside, this becomes as a code mode. Escape, give an escape or click somewhere outside of this, this becomes as a command mode. In the command mode, you can navigate through different cells, right? So we can navigate through different cells, and in the code mode, you're going to give the moment you give left and right, so and up and down, so it will be within the cell block. Okay. Now what are different shortcuts? To understand the different shortcuts, first give escape in the code mode. The moment the cell becomes blue in color, type B, just the alphabet B in your keyboard. So what does it do? It opens a new cell below the current cell. Right, so it's going to open a new cell below the current cell. Right, so if I'm going just toggling up and I'm going to type A. What is A and B? What does A means? It's going to open a new cell above the current cell. B means open a new cell below the current cell. Right, so how will you run this code block? Right, so control plus enter, it will run this code block. The moment I give shift plus enter, it's going to run this code block and the cursor will move to the below cell. Right, it will run the cell, it will execute it and it will move to the below cell. That's what and shift plus enter do. Coming back again, how will you run this code? Control plus enter will run this code and the cursor will remain in the same cell. If I give shift plus enter, this is going to execute the cell and it will move to the cell below the executed cell. Right, so there's another way you can just go and give run here. That's in other words, it's shift plus enter, it will execute and it will move to the cell below this. Right, so that's what we are doing here. And opening a new cell, above is A, below is B. Right, so how am I going to delete this cell? I don't want this cell. You can go and give the cut selected cells, or you're going to put type DD twice, delete, right, DD. Right, so D for delete, yeah, 2 times you're going to put DD, it's going to delete it. Oh no, I've just deleted by mistake. All in the command mode, just type Z, control plus, right, how we put it in the Microsoft Word. So instead of control plus Z, we are just going to put Z. Why not control plus Z? Right, so when you are within the code block, right, so and you have deleted it by mistake, now you can give control plus Z, it will bring the deleted words here. Now let's go and type cell below. Now you can see there is IN and there is an open close bracket. So what is this number 6? That means this cell has been executed, for the 6th time. So it has been executed a 6th time in the sequence, right? So I'm going to put hello again, right? So if I give control plus enter, what should be the number be here? It should be 7, right? So it means within the session, we have run and code cell for a 7th time. So that's what the number 7 here, right? So it's not the line, it's not anything else, right? So I run it multiple times, the number will be incremented. I go up here again, give control plus enter, this will become 21. Below here 22, right? So in this current session, how many times we have executed and code cell? That's what it is. Now we are going to come back here and say, I want to give some information to the students, right? So instead of adding it in the code cell, I want to make it as a markdown cell. Just click on this, click on markdown. So markdown allows us to create a well formatted text inside the notebooks, such as headings, list, highlights, images, and much more, which is essential for readable notebooks, right? So for example, I'm going to say this is the first session. This is the first session. Now you can see the moment I just give control plus enter, this has become as an heading for us. Now this has become as an heading for us. Now before I get into various different components in the markdown, let's also understand few more different things, right? So this will be auto saved, right? So it has a autosave functionality, but it's a good practice. You give control plus enter, it's going to save. The last checkpoint will be created. To rename this notebook, you just click on this, delete the whole name and say session hyphen 1, right? So we have renamed this cell. If you go back here, this is also renamed session hyphen 1 dot ipynb, IPython notebook, right? So this is not a Python file, rather this is an Python notebook. That's what we call it as a Jupyter notebook, right? So that's where the format, the extension would be .ipynb. Coming down here, so how can we create a markdown? How can a markdown in Jupyter can be created, right? So just give escape, click on this drop down, select the markdown. That's what we have seen earlier. Now, how can we create the headings? Given single hash, this will be the largest heading. Heading 1. Now I want to open a cell below this current cell. I've given shift plus enter. This will execute the current cell, and if there is no cell below the current cell, it's going to create a new cell below the current cell. Double hash, and I'm going to say subheading. Right? So how will I execute? Shift plus enter. Now what's the problem here? Why is it not creating as an subheading now? Because, take a moment, think, pause. Because this is a code cell, rather this is not a markdown cell. You can see this is a code cell. Click on drop down, make this as a markdown, give control plus enter. This becomes your subheading. The moment I'm going to add 3 hashes here and say welcome again, right? So this is heading 3. Right, so give escape, convert the cell to a markdown cell, shift plus enter. Right, you can look at the sizes. This has been the largest, and this is the smaller, and the size keeps on reducing when I add till 4 hashes. Heading 4. Right, so again I have to convert the cell to an markdown cell, control plus enter. Right, so let's remove this so that you can compare. Heading 1, subheading, heading 3, heading 4. Right, so this is how we can create it in a markdown. And if you want to visualize that everything in a single cell, say welcome to Python, and I'm going to say introduction, overview of Jupyter. Right, so in a single cell you can see welcome to Python, introduction, overview of Jupyter. Now when I converted code to markdown, I did not go and click on this markdown, rather I've just converted this with yum. Right, the moment I just type yum in the command mode, this becomes my markdown. I type y, this becomes my code cell, markdown cell, and then code cell. You can toggle between this within single shortcuts. Right, so there are so many shortcuts. We'll learn as we progress. Whichever is important, that will be learning it in the first place. Now in the markdown, you want to make some text, now some part of the text bold. Right, so how will you make it as bold? Right, so if it is not a heading, say for example, this text is not bold. Right, you can see here this text is not bold. Now I want to make this bold alone to be present in the bold. Right, so this text is now bold. Right, so I'm going to add 2 star before and after the text. Right, so after the string where I want to make the string to be bold. Right, so add 2 stars before and after the word. Right, similarly, I want to make a string italic. Given single star, and I'm going to say italic. It's or any text, right? So learn with Sarvesh. Right? So given star again, give escape, type M, you're going to change it to markdown, shift plus enter. You can see that this text is converted to an italic. Now, similarly, I want to make this as a strike through, right? So strike through, like so. Let's add strike through, for example, escape M, shift plus enter. You can see that string has been strike through. For bold, I'm going to add double star before and after. For italic, I'm going to add a star before and after. And if it's a strike through, I'm going to add two tilde signs before and after, and the strike through happens through the text. Right, so that's what we can see here. So in the following session, we'll see a few more shortcuts and we'll start with the basic syntaxes. Thank you.